Hello everybody, welcome to the channel. Today we are looking at the 2020 Action Special. What is Action? Action was a British comic first published in 1976, aimed at a more adult audience, and as such it featured a lot more violence, more anarchy, a lot more action. It attracted the attention of a load of busybodies and politicians who immediately set about trying to get it banned, and it lasted for a couple of years, and then that was the end of it. Now, however, we have got the 2020 special. So let's take a look at it. You can see it is all bagged up and sealed up. So let's open the bag and see what we've got. If I can get it open. Okay. So we have got the special, and we have also got this, which I believe is a copy of an issue that was never published. So we've got the special here, nice colour cover, nice colour artwork on the back, plenty of stories inside, some in black and white, some in colour. And then we have got, as I say, this copy of one of the original issues which was never published. So I think what I need to do now is go away, read both of these, and then come back with the next part. Okay, all read. So what have we got in 2020 Action Special? Well, let's have a look inside. Now we can see, see from the cover, we've got some of the best known stories from Action. We've got Hookjaw, we've got Kids Rule OK, and we've got Hellman down there. So the first story we've got is a Kids Rule OK story. Now in this, some weird disease springs up, spreads around the world, and wipes out virtually all of the adults, and leaving kids to fend for themselves. Now the story seems to be set in London, and is basically a story of two of the different gangs of kids in there basically getting into a fight with each other. But it does have quite an interesting end. It makes it sound like the kids are now actually trying to rebuild their own society. And next up we've got a story of Hellman. Now this was quite unusual. This was a World War II story, but it was unusual to have a war story, a World War II story, where a German soldier was the hero of the story. And in this particular one they come across a group of children, and they stop to protect the children and help them repair their vehicle so they can escape and get on their way. And we've then got a story called Hell Machine. Now I don't remember this at all. This may well be a completely new story written for this special. The central character in it, who's called Taze, she's captured and she ends up inside some bizarre underground machine. And it seems to be one giant death trap. There's things knocking people onto spikes and people shooting down tubes onto saws. And then we get something called the Syndicate, which seems to be running the country. And at the end of the story, Taze gets to meet up with the leader of the resistance. And next we get to probably the most interesting story in the special. It's set on a fishing trawler. There's no dialogue in it. It's really nice artwork, and they appear to have captured a polar bear that they have locked up in a cage. Meanwhile, underneath the ship we have a shark with a large gaff hook sticking out from its lower jaw, and this is Hookjaw, probably the most famous character from Action, who used to wander around, well, swim around, I should say, swim around basically eating people. Now the polar bear is Shako. Now this is a story from 2000 AD rather than Action, and he was basically a polar bear version of Jaws. He used to wander around and eat people as well. And once we get to the end of the story, we find out this is in fact Hookjaw versus Shako. So that's quite interesting. And then just to finish it off, we have a story of Dredger. And Dredger is a secret agent. He works for something called DI6, I think it is, and he's a sort of he's like a combination of James Bond and Clint Eastwood's Dirty Harry character. So those are the stories in the special. Now let's have a quick look at what came with it. This is a duplicate of issue, I think it's issue 37, which was a banned issue. It was printed and a few copies were handed out to members of staff, but then before it got distributed the order came in that it was banned, and all the issues got pulped. All the issues that were saved to go on file were pulped. The only ones that survived were these few copies that were handed out to members of staff, and one of them came up for sale on eBay I think about 5 years ago and went for about £2,500 as I remember. So it's a little version of the banned issue 37, and we've got Dredger in here. Again, it's the secret agent guy. We've got a story called Probationer, which seems to be about someone on probation, which sounds quite boring. And you notice these are all black and white, because at the time the only cover pages you got were the covers and the centre pages. We've got Hell's Highway, about a couple of truckers that were framed by some shadowy government agency and then forced to carry dubious cargoes backwards and forwards across the United States. We've got Look Out for Lefty, which is fairly standard fare for British comics at the time, a football or soccer based story about someone who turns out to be an amazing player. And then again we've got the star of Action, Hookjaw. In this case he's attacking someone from a helicopter and dragging the helicopter down into the sea, and again fairly standard Hookjaw style. He's just basically eating people. And we then get an episode of Kids Rule OK. Now this one was quite interesting because it introduced a new surviving adult who I believe was going to turn out to be an ongoing enemy. We've then got an episode of Death Game 1999, and this is where convicts were forced to play a deadly game called Spinball, which was kind of like ice hockey with motorbikes with spike wheels and hockey sticks that could scoop up the ball and shoot it out, and all kinds of things like that going on. There was giant pinball pins on the ice as well. Basically prisoners from different prisons all had to play against each other, either that or face the electric chair. And then we finished the issue off with another episode about the German Panzer Commander Hellman. So that's our duplicate banned issue. Now if you want to go and check these out for yourselves and maybe buy your own copies, they're available from the official 2000 AD shop. I will put a link in the description. They are available in several versions. You can get print versions or you can get digital versions. You can get the special on its own or with the duplicate banned issue. In the meantime, however, remember, hit the thumbs up below, hit the notification bell, and if you don't want to miss out on whatever else I get up to, hit the subscribe button. And I will see you in the next one.